So everyone at least knows of Alex Kidd, right? Even if you've never played any of the games, he's a pretty famous video game character, being Sega and the Master System's RC Cola to the NES's Coke. Alex Kidd was Sega's answer to Mario. They saw how well Mario did and they wanted some of that sweet, sweet action for themselves. And out came what you're looking at. Alex Kidd in Miracle World is pretty weird when compared to Mario. You can't jump on people. The first stage starts with you descending down this chasm. Then the second half of the stage is a water level. In a way, it's already more advanced than Mario. We're scrolling down and then to the right. But in other ways, it's nowhere near as good. Movement doesn't feel nearly as clean. It doesn't have the same kind of momentum that Mario groundbreakingly sort of invented. You punch these question blocks, and sometimes they give you items, and other times it's a Grim Reaper who tracks you down and kills you. How am I supposed to know what blocks to punch and which ones not to? This is worse than the poison mushroom in Mario Lost levels, because at least those are easily avoided. If this Reaper gets on you, you're screwed. And that's what I think Alex Kidd got wrong as opposed to Mario. It's not always instantly clear what's going on, whereas Mario only has a few elements and it's always obvious what's good, what's bad, what you should interact with, what you shouldn't. With Alex Kidd, it's a lot less cut and dry. Don't get me wrong, this is still a pretty good game, but I would say if Alex Kidd gets any one thing wrong, it's clarity. You pick up power-ups, but it's not immediately obvious what they do. You can go to stores and buy stuff, but I don't even know what two of these are. And then, of course, famously, every boss fight is a game of rock, paper, scissors, best 2 out of 3. It's not like there's any tells. You might think this guy is always gonna pick rock because his face is shaped like a fist, so I picked paper and lost. I like Alex Kidd in Miracle World. It's a solid foundation. Good, though it's no Mario. But then again, what is? And hey, if Mario can get better with subsequent entries, then why not Alex Kidd? The second game, Alex Kidd in the Lost Stars, is completely different. People like to clown on the NES for its sequels not being like the first games. Well, look no further than the Alex Kidd series, because each entry is completely different. Instead of the ambitious, multiple playstyles, vehicles, weird items all over the place, often unclear what you're supposed to do, Miracle World, Lost Stars is just a simple left-to-right platform-and-ass platformer. The main innovation being there are no lives. Instead, this meter up top acts as our stamina, and each time we get hit, we lose a little bit of that. When it runs out, you lose. Sort of like the Namco arcade game Metro Cross, whereas enemies and obstacles only serve to slow you down. It has some of the worst voices in video game history.
Find the Miracle Ball.
Jesus. Overall, it doesn't feel like the same care and attention went into this one. I mean, Alex doesn't even have a left-facing sprite. He can run to the left, but when you stand still, he always faces right. And the themes are much less coherent. Each stage is a completely new place, new setting, and the enemy sprites seem like garbled leftovers from whatever other projects they had laying around. Like, what am I even looking at here? Do I need to blur this? It's the kind of game where shit just falls from the sky and hits you out of nowhere. Everything's hurt boxes are much larger than their sprites would indicate. The controls are a little more rigid than they should be. And it's obviously vastly inferior to the first game. I never liked this game whenever I had messed around with it before, you know, just trying out random Master System ROMs, or whatever context I would be playing Alex Kidd in the Lost Stars. Though trying it again for this, I sort of have a newfound respect. I was actually having fun, it's not bad at all. A disappointment next to the original? Absolutely, without a doubt. It being less ambitious than the first one is the real kicker, but you could do much worse.
Oh boy, Alex Kidd in High Tech World. Sega's third attempt at making this whole Alex Kidd thing happen. Well, his history would prove this whole Alex Kidd thing did not happen. Nintendo, for their part, when they made the third Super Mario game, took inspiration from the first to make something bigger and better, and in the process made one of the greatest video games of all time. But that's not what we're covering today. We're covering Alex Kidd 3. Alex Kidd in High Tech World. What direction would they go in with this? Well, time to quit stalling and play some damn video games.
You are Prince Alex Kidd, but not one of those cool princes who leads men into battle or charms the ladies or has cool sword fights. Nah, we're more like the spoiled rich kid prince who's not allowed to leave the royal palace. And an arcade has opened up in the next town over. Too bad we don't know where it is, and the only map telling us has been shredded up into 8 separate pieces. So it's a quest to find the 8 pieces of the map in your house, so you could tape it all together and then journey to the arcade. Why Alex, someone who has now saved the world twice over, is unable to leave his own house, or simply ask for directions, is anyone's guess. But no, he has handlers who don't let him do anything. Maybe it's a prequel. Now what am I doing, worrying about the Alex Kidd timeline? But if we were to concern ourselves with such things, don't worry. The Alex Kidd wiki clarifies that this game is considered non-canonical, so it's outside of the official Alex Kidd timeline. And first impressions, high-tech world. This is like an old-style Japanese temple. What's so high-tech about it? This is the last setting I would ever expect. The first half of the game is essentially the world's shittiest point-and-click adventure looking for the 8 pieces of this map. And the second half is our journey to the arcade. There's a time limit, see these clocks hanging on the wall. Digital, which is nice. Maybe that's what makes this place so high-tech. But once this clock hits 16:45, aka 4:45, that's it. Game over. There's no jump button. In fact, all you can do is open up a menu. Everything else is done with a D-pad. Examining stuff is up, and actually that's really it. Kidd automatically uses items whenever in a position to do so, which is nice. In classic adventure game fashion, we're set loose, able to go anywhere in the house. So naturally, we should explore everything, right? Pick up everything, talk to everyone, try everything with everything else. And it starts out easy enough, just walking into the first room and my parents hand me one of the pieces of the map. So far so good, only it's not actually. You open up the menu, and what he really handed me was a piece of paper with the word fake sprawled across it in huge, obnoxious letters. No, to get the real piece of the map, you have to go back in and talk to your parents again, which is a reoccurring theme. Having to do the same thing multiple times to get what we want. But don't talk to your parents again, or else Alex's mom sends him back to his room to study. Game over. Which is another reoccurring theme. Untelegraphed, instant game overs. Here's a set of armor, which if you interact with, game over. The computer, electrocuted, game over. High-tech world, and the one piece of modern technology kills us. Sheesh. Go down the wrong set of stairs. Oops, broken leg, game over.
That's funny, I didn't notice it said Alex Kidd faints, then he falls down the stairs.
And it's not like you can stop on the stairs. Once you're going down, you're committed. And it's not telegraphed in any way. You just have to know ahead of time not to go down these stairs.
Oh yeah, and in the castle stage, there's no way to save or continue or do any of that fancy stuff. Game over means game over. Back to the beginning. Title screen. There it is.
Now, a lot of these are just one-time traps. Once you know not to put on the armor or walk down this set of stairs, we're never gonna do it again. But figuring out what we're actually supposed to do is just as evil sometimes. You lose 5 minutes off the clock every time you enter a room or change scenes, so you can't just wander around aimlessly without a plan. But it's an adventure game, so naturally we have to waste time just figuring out what the hell is going on. Since we're a prince, our house is huge and there's a million people in here, so we're just going around asking everyone if we happen to see pieces of the map. Then we talk to this asshole named James, who tells us that he burned a piece of the map in a fireplace because he's a fucking dick. What? Yeah, I don't blame you, Alex. Then if you go over to get the piece of paper, thinking, hey, maybe I can fix it somehow, it crumples and game over. Fuck you. So if I can't take the paper, what am I supposed to do? What are you, a dumbass? It's obvious. You have to pick up the phone book, look up some guy named Rockwell, call him, who gives us the restorer powder. Duh. I mean, Like, A, how would you know that? B, what kind of powder restores burnt paper? And C, after looking up his number in the phone book and calling him, how exactly do we meet up with Rockwell? He says he'll see us in half an hour, but he doesn't tell us where. I would assume the front door, but the guard won't let you to the front door. Do we have to distract him somehow? No, Rockwell appears in this random empty room with nothing in it, exactly half an hour from when you call him in game time. There are 15 rooms in the castle, many of which serve no purpose or are equally as empty. But no, you have to know he's going to appear in this specific room, and you can't waste any time either, because if you're more than 15 minutes late, aka 3 area transitions, he doesn't give you the shit you need. Thanks for making me wait so long? Game over? What the frick? But if you time it right, Rockwell shows up, both of him. Which one is Rockwell? And gives you the restorer powder. Oh yeah, there's a phone in this game, which also begs the question why we can't just call the arcade and ask where they are. But I digress. What else? There's a straight up test. And not like a cute video game test, like a real world trivia test. What's the capital of Japan? Oh, that's easy. Tokyo. What's the name of the 15th scene in Space Harrier? What the fuck? How would I know that? 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 ... plus 98 plus 99 plus 100? Like if I add up every number next to each other all the way up to 100, I mean, I could bust out a calculator and just solve this. I mean, I'm an adult. I don't always have a calculator in my pocket, as my teachers said when I was in school. The basic unit of Italian money. Well, these days it's gotta be the euro, right? But back then, I have no idea. Probably not the peso. And it just keeps going on. And you have to get every single one of these correct. None of these are told to you in-game. You just had to figure them out in the pre-internet world. I'm sure more than one kid went to the fucking library to try and find them out, which is actually hilarious if I stop and make a mental image of that. And you can't really cheese it either, because it's not like they tell you which ones you got wrong. You just do the test and she tells you if you got them all right or not. It's not like it stops if you give a wrong answer. They let you go through the whole test, and then at the end, tell you if you got them. Some stuff is just completely nonsensical, such as these notes on the wall which say Kate is the fattest. What? There's more than one of these too. Actually, these notes do have a purpose. There's a room where the maids make you guess each of their names, and these sheets of paper taped to the walls all over the castle are our clues. I actually like this puzzle, but starting the game and reading Kate is the fattest on more than one piece of paper in more than one place is, I have to admit, hilarious. We find a ladder stuck inside of a vase. Okay, which we then use to get another piece of the map behind one of the clocks, which is not telegraphed, of course, because why would it be? There's a room where sometimes there's 2 guys in there and sometimes there's not, and a note explaining that they're supposed to show up 45 minutes past the hour, but not actually, because going in the door skips ahead 5 minutes, so 45 becomes 50, and they're not there, so you actually need to go into the room at 40, and it's not enough to just see them one time, because the first time you talk to them, they don't give you anything. They don't the second either. You need to speak to them 3 different times to actually get the piece of the map. What the fuck, game? If I lose time from going in and out of places, then why the fuck would I ever want to repeatedly go into the same room over and over again to hunt for these guys? Especially since once I find them, they don't do anything. Even if I had the inkling to go back, they don't do anything the second time either.
All this in a game about taping together a ripped up map so you can go to an arcade. Why is that so difficult?
It's like the 2 main forces of an adventure game are at odds. King's Quest has a ton of these cheap deaths and cryptic solutions too. The difference is you can save anywhere at any time, so experimenting isn't really a big deal. Yeah. I have the sack. Here, every time you fail, you restart all the way from the beginning. This is an adventure game where your curiosity is not rewarded. You're punished at every turn, but you have to be curious enough to finish the game. It's just trial and error. The whole game is just trial and error, the game. Once you finally get all the pieces of the map, though, we have to use a key we find in a vase to open up a safe to get a paraglider, and then go to the roof to jump off, of course. self-explanatory like everything else in this game. And finally, we reach a checkpoint, where the game doesn't restart from the beginning every time you die. But the timer doesn't stop. You can leave the castle with not enough time to finish the game. Easily, actually. So instead of the paraglider bringing us to, wow, that was fast. As I was saying, instead of paragliding all the way to the arcade, we're just in this forest with all these anti-video game activists attempting to stop me from rotting my brain at the arcade. Seriously, who are these asshole ninjas that don't want us to go there? You might think that this stage is a relief. It's straightforward and our goal is just to make it to the end. But it's so much more difficult than it looks. This one action stage took me well over an hour, because there are no checkpoints, you die in one hit, the ninja's projectiles come at you from weird, not easy to dodge angles, your jump is interrupted by tree branches, and why can't Alex Kidd swim? He can just fine in the other games. There are even stages in Miracle World, which take place above bodies of water, and when you fall in, it just continues as a swimming stage. And it's so long, it just keeps going on and on. Then one mistake and you gotta do the whole thing again. The timer keeps going through all this too. Like, you can continue from the start of the action stage, but the timer doesn't go back or reset. So every failed attempt costs you time. Fail too much and you gotta start the entire adventure game part again. Which, in fairness, once you know what to do, isn't really a big deal. I can get through the adventure game part in about 10 to 15 minutes. I have 2 tips for these action stages. Stay low and go slow. So these ninjas are just barely on screen. Take them out before they become a big threat. The jumps over the water, though, you just gotta get good. Sorry. After that, we make it to a town where this turns back into an adventure game again. The puzzle here is we need to get past the checkpoint, but we need a travel pass. Why? Aren't I a prince? Shouldn't these guards have to obey whatever I tell them? I don't know. In town, we have a restaurant which sells burgers, fries, and a soft drink. Probably RC. A guy selling rice, a bookstore with a Bible, a dictionary, and something titled How to Print Transit Passes. Interesting. Another store selling a magic lamp, a back scratcher, and a printing press. Interesting times two. There's also a fortune teller, a shrine we can pray at, a pawn shop where we can sell items, a hot dog stand, which, okay, Alex, not that there's anything wrong with this. And a fucking pistol just lying on the ground in one of these houses. Maybe this is why it's called High Tech World. And finally, a sleeping guy making the most overwhelming snoring noises in video game history. With all this knowledge, let's break down the possible solutions from most to least obvious. To get past the checkpoint, do we A. buy the How to Print Transit Passes book and then buy the printing press and print our own? B. take the gun and shoot the guard? C. bribe the guard like in Pokemon with one of the various food or drink items? D. buy the magic lamp and just wish yourself to the arcade? Or maybe it's like in King's Quest V, where we need to trick the guard into rubbing the lamp so the genie will trap him in the bottle. E. wake up the sleeping guy. F. sell everything we own at the pawn shop so we can buy a legitimate travel pass somewhere from someone. Maybe they'll show up when we have enough money. G. use the dictionary and Bible to argue why you have divine authority to pass through the checkpoint. So out of all these options, which one do you think results in Alex Kidd getting past the checkpoint? If you answered, obviously none of the above, let's go by them one by one. Printing your own transit pass doesn't work because the guard sees it as a fake and you get arrested. Of course, it can never be the most obvious thing. Picking up the gun doesn't work because there's no way to shoot anyone in this game. Boo-hoo. The guard doesn't respond to any of the food items, so you can't feed him. In fact, you can actually get a game over yourself by buying too much food. The magic lamp does absolutely nothing, so that's out. I have no idea how to wake up the sleeping guy. You do make a profit by buying items and then selling them back to the pawn shop. This back scratcher was used by Lincoln? Gross, and how the hell would you know that? But there's really no point because the gold doesn't do anything. And lastly, the dictionary and the Bible do absolutely nothing. So, what the fuck could the solution be? Like, what haven't we tried? We haven't done anything with the shrine yet, but going there doesn't seem to do anything. Alex just says the same thing over and over again. please all gods, help me find my way to the arcade. It doesn't make a difference if you have the Bible or not. He just says the same thing. So if you knew anything about this game before watching this video, it was probably this. Praying at the shrine is the solution to the puzzle. The entire town, none of it matters, it's just a giant red herring. None of the items do anything. None of these supposed side quests where you can give items to people or sell them or make profits, none of it does anything. What you're actually supposed to do is go to the shrine and pray again, and then pray a third time, then a fourth, then a fifth, then a 10th, then a 20th, then a 30th, then a 50th, then a 70th, then a 90th, then a 99th. And on the 100th time you pray to this shrine, a man pops out, feels sorry for you, and gifts you a travel pass. 100 times. 100 times. Now, to be fair, the fortune teller does hint at this. If you pay for the wind fortune, 100 gold pieces, they tell you to believe in the gods and they will show you the correct path. Okay. Who in the fuck could possibly figure this out in any reasonable way? It is one thing to expect the player to talk to some rare fucknuts in the castle 3 times, or to talk to your parents twice, or even to have you pray, I don't know, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times even? That would have been cryptic, but I think I would have eventually prayed 5 times. But 100? And it's not like they breadcrumb you here. It would be one thing if your dialogue ever changed at any point during this, but Alex says the exact same thing every time. The first 99 prays are identical. And then they expect you to expect the 100th to do anything different?
This is a legitimate. How the fuck did they figure this out before the internet moment? This has to be one of the most cryptic things I've ever heard of in a video game.
Is the manual any help? Fuck no. It just taunts us. You can get the travel pass, ... if you're smart. Fuck you with your if you're smart shit. You have to be smart to pray 100 times? Then after all that, the game has the audacity to have another action stage, which is more the same. It's just like the first, only easier because instead of ninjas, most of this stage are made up of just animals, and the animals don't shoot stuff at you. There are still ninjas, and even some asshole traps, such as this bridge collapsing in exactly one place, but this one wasn't nearly as bad. Persevere, and we finally made it to High Tech World. Hey, these Sega games are great! Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Alex. Glad you get to play a game which is better than anything you've ever been involved in. Prince Alex's adventure is over. Maybe you will meet him again someday. Yep, Alex Kidd would go on to star in many more amazing Sega games, leaving a legacy which would last decades and span hundreds of titles. Just kidding, he got 2 more, 3 if you count the Japanese-only racing BMX game, before Sega shelved him forever. Well, High Tech Land doesn't even have credits. Nobody wanted to be attached to this shit.
And you didn't believe me in the Zelda video when I said that adventure games used to be nonsense. Wait, you say that you did believe me? Well, anyway, Alex Kidd in High Tech World is a failure on so many different levels. And I think on the highest one, it's just a brand failure. What were they thinking putting Alex Kidd in this game? Well, guess what? In Japan, it actually doesn't star Alex Kidd. It stars some anime or manga girl that I've never heard of. In a 4-year span, they made 6 Alex Kidd games. So they were just shoveling him onto anything. They were just putting any game they had, any idea they had, they would put Alex Kidd into there. And there's just no cohesion with any of them. He's in 6 games and they're all completely different. It doesn't go from Mario 1 to Lost Levels or 2, whichever flavor you prefer, to 3, where you see the clear evolution of gameplay styles and it gets better each time. That just didn't happen with Alex Kidd. They were just trying to fuck him up, I guess. Was Sega's plan to just put him in as many different games as possible, regardless of quality? Well, it is Sega, so it actually probably was their plan. Then in a less meta, less conceptual level, Alex Kidd in High Tech World fails as a video game because it's so short and simple that it pretty much had to be the most unforgiving, unfriendly, obtuse piece of crap in the world, or else you would just blast through it in about 20 minutes your first time playing. Now, with all this being said, I don't hate this game, mostly because I live in the current year and I have present privilege. I can just look up a guide. You want to know how I played through this game? I sat down with it, played for about an hour and a half, just trying to do it blind, in which I found 6 of the puzzle pieces, 6 of the map pieces in the opening castle. I missed the one hidden in the clock, and I missed the one where you gotta talk to the 2 kids 3 times. That's pretty good. I mean, I was able to intuit my way around most of it, and I'm sure eventually I would have found those 2 if I didn't look it up. And I already knew about the praying thing before going in. So, yeah, I looked up a guide, whatever. If anything, this game's just funny. It's funny that they thought to release this. The idea of it's funny, the execution is funny. It's a funny game. I've just been this whole video has just been me pointing out things about the game that I think are funny. Anyway, that's all I got. Shout out to the patrons. Shout out to you for watching. Never trust anyone who needs a haircut. Till next time, goodbye.